Afternoon, good evening to everybody that has joined to this breakout session in this World Cocoa Foundation partnership meeting. Today, we will have these breakout sessions about, let's talk about farm size. My name is Fausto Rodriguez. I am the Agriculture Director for Latin America, and today we will talking about the farm size. I would like to start this breakout session with a saying: a chain is as stronger as its weaker link, and the cocoa value chain is not an exception. The weaker link is a far level, and if we really are aiming to improve sustainability and resilience and to ensure the cocoa and chocolate sourcing to consumers, we must find the better way to support smallholder cocoa farmers. We need to help them to be more efficient in their farms and plantations. Today, we will explore what could be a viable farm for her, for him, and how that farm looks like. We have three speakers from different links of the chain, different and rich experience that will share with us their perspective around 4 learning questions. So we go to the next slide, please. Next, on the speakers, our speaker, please. Our speaker. Thank you very much. We have Juan Fernando Valenzuela from Compañía Nacional de Chocolate, a food processing living company and supporting farming community in their transition toward cocoa sustainable production. We have also Roberto Mollison, who is the Director of Sustainability in Latin America from Barry Callebaut. And we have Simon Basnaga, who is Manager of Socopec Cameroon, and he's also a 20 hectares producer. So we will have another bite of his perspective today. All our speakers in the presentation will be sharing with us some elements to answer 4 learning questions. Is there an optimal and viable farm size farmer must have access to reach the living incomes? This is the first one. Is a viable farm size possible for all farmers? And if not, how to support farmers without sufficient land? Is there an optimal farm size, and what could be that size? What to do with farmers who don't have that farm size? And how is farm size linked with some topics and issues as inclusion and equity? And we will have a presentation from our speaker for 15 minutes, and then we will have a round of question and answers for 30 minutes. We are very confident that with these 4 learning questions, with the info from our speaker and with your question on the chat box, we will have a rich discussion, and we could together give some insights, some ideas on how to deal with the farm size that contribute to the viability of a smallholder farmer. So to start this breakout session, I would like to give the word to Juan Fernando Valenzuela. Juan Fernando, the floor is yours. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, Fausto. Good afternoon for all of you. Thank you to the World Cocoa Foundation to this invitation that Compañía Nacional de Chocolates. It's an honor to have this farm size show and about economic sustainability to small farmers. For us, it's a great topic to recognize the work of small farmers in our country, in Latin America too, because we have different platforms here in Latin America. Next slide, please. Okay, the before slide, please. Before. Okay, we have an agenda that I know, and the agenda is that I'm going to show you is about a benchmarking economic, because it's so important to have a baseline about the agenda, about the benchmarking and economic topics, about the topics related to the small farmers and the cocoa growers in the world. Second, I'm going to show you the experience about our experience in Colombia and in Peru with the small farmers. Later, I'm going to show you an analysis of this farm size, and later I'm going to give you, after this analysis, I'm going to give you the conclusions of the farm size that we consider the small farmers in the world must be considered. Next slide. Okay. If we consider the average of the farm size in Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, and Colombia, the World Bank has, and the Cocoa Barometer has these quantities. In Cote d'Ivoire, the farm size in average is 4.4 hectares, with a productivity of 400 kilograms per hectare per year. In Ghana, the farm size is 3.3 hectares to the small farmers, with a productivity of 370 kilograms per hectare per year. And the farm in Colombia, the farm size, according to the Consejo Nacional Cacaotero, is more or less, the average is 3.5 hectares, with a productivity of 430 kilograms per hectare per year. This is so important because if we consider all the quantities and data that we have, these productivities are so low, and we are going to show you, and I'm going to show you what is the productivity according to the incomes, to the livelihood income that a small grower in cocoa must have. The World Bank and the Sonny Verghese, the OLMCO, talked about it in the morning. According to the livelihood income, the small cocoa farmers has the level of below the $1 per day per person. These incomes are terrible, are below the extreme poverty line. If we consider the data of the World Bank for one person that the income is next to $2, is the extreme poverty line. In a lower middle income countries is $3.2 per day per person, and an upper middle income country is $5.5 per person per day. Okay, those data, it's so important to consider because I'm going to try to demonstrate that we must have a baseline. The next slide, please. The Food and Agricultural Organizations, ligated to the United Nations, to the average annual income to the agricultures, not only in cocoa, in different sectors, the average in different countries is $1,040 per year. It represents less than $1 per person per day, 71 cents per dollar per day. It's incredible. And really, this economic benchmarking show us that the situation not only in the cocoa sector, really in the agriculture sector to the small farmers, it's terrific. Next slide. Okay, and I mentioned that we must have a baseline, the key factors, to have a response to the 4 questions that Fausto asked us. Yes? The baseline is necessary to have. The desired livelihood income according to Fair Trade Label Organization by Anchor Methodology is $7,300 per year for a family of four person. It represents $5 per day. Remember that the $5 per day, it's an upper middle income countries, yes? And to the analysis that I'm going to show you, the income in Colombia, the minimum living but that in Colombia is considered is $3,200 per year. Is the minimum living income. And this analysis is the target is the small farmer. Is not an industrial agricultural farmer, is a small farmer living only by cocoa. The small farmer must have good agricultural practices. In the plot, the small farmer must be control disease about Monilla, related to Monilla, Phytophthora, and different diseases that affect the plot. And must have a period farm over all round, yes, because if the small farmer doesn't do that kind of control disease and good agricultural practices, okay, the results are not going to be to the target of $3,200 in Colombia and $7,300 desired according to the flow methodology. The fertilization, about fertilization, minimum two per year, yes, two twice per year, and to have prune, harvest, fermentation, to obtain a normal quality to these beans that they are going to sell. The genetic material. In Colombia, in Compañía Nacional de Chocolates, we recommend a self-compatible material, genetic material. Why? Because those genetic material that are self-compatible, they will be a guarantee to have a high qualification and a high productivity related to this desired livelihood income. Agroecology, not dry. It's a normal that we consider that not dry and the according soils. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, our experience. We have different agriculture, small farmers in different zones of the country here in Colombia. Yes, I'm going to show you one specific case according to the time that I have, Rodrigo Perez, but those represent different cooperatives and different small farmers along the country in Colombia that I'm going to show you. Next. If we see the Rodrigo Perez farm, I'm going to show you. His family is, the household is 5 members. Okay, the sea level is 2,080 meters above the sea level. The clones, those are so important. I mentioned in the baselines, yes, the clones, it's CCM51, ICCS1. Those are regional clones that the Rodrigo Perez work here in Colombia. The farm area that he has is 2.5 hectares. The planting density is 721 plants per hectare. I mentioned if the design is 3 per tree, more or less is 1,100 trees per plants per hectare. But in this case, this small farmer has only 721 plants per hectare. And the average age of the plantation is 10 years. It's important to mention that with this density, this Rodrigo small farmer has 2,000 kilograms per hectare per year. It's not a plan to produce. He is producing right now that. And one thing that is so important, the price per ton. In Colombia, the price per ton is according to the volatility of the New York tariff, the New York markets, yes? And he received a pay of $1,920 per ton in the average of the last year. This experience show that the earnings per hectare is $3,800 per hectare. That it's equivalent to the 2.5 hectares of earnings of near to $10,000 per year to the 2.5 hectares in the small that Rodrigo has. The annual profit with these costs that is shown there in the graphic is $5,600 of annual profit. It's important to mention that the cost of the labor cost of 872 that is shown in the blue graphic, it's paid for the labor that Rodrigo received, yes, and the annual profit it's 5,600. It's important to mention because it represents more or less $5 per day per person, yes, that is in the upper middle income country, yes, and not in the below the line of poverty. Okay, next slide. Okay, another small farmers like Rodrigo that is shown here in the second one, another Victor or John Fernando or Leonel or David Andres, they show that I want to show you that the living income is between $3,000 to $6,000 per year. Next income. Next slide, please. Okay, an analysis I want to show you is if we consider the desired of the flow in living income is 7,000, that represents $5 per day. It represents that Rodrigo must have, you can see the annual profit, if we consider the desired of 7,300, the farm area, the farm size area is 3 hectares more or less to get the annual profit of 7,300. Yes, but with the condition of the real productivity that I showed that he gets of 2,000 kilograms per hectare per year. And another consideration and analysis is that if we consider the minimum living lots in Colombia of $3,200 per year, the annual profit, considering that the farm area is going to be 1.5 hectares below the hectares that Rodrigo has, that is 2.5, yes, conserving with the constantly of 2,000 kilograms per hectare per year. You can ask me, hey, come on, but it's not normal that one small farmer has 2,000 kilograms per hectare per year. Next slide, please. In this slide, no, before. In this slide, I show you, no, before, please. Yes, thank you. In this slide, I'm showing that I reduce the productivity to 1,200 kilograms per hectare per year. It's obviously conserving the cocoa price of $1,900 per ton in the price of the cocoa. Yes, but if we reduce, and I reduce the kilogram, the productivity to 1,200, the hectares obviously is going to increase. Rodrigo has to increase the hectares to the small farm to 7.5 hectares to this firm, try to get the 7,300 desired living income to his family. And considering the 3,200 annual profit, really with the productivity of, suppose of a productivity of 1,200, the farm area must be 3.7, higher than he has of 2.5. Why? Because the productivity is less. Go ahead. I want to show you that the farm sites depend of the desired living income, and not desired the reality of each country. The reality of each country is the second point in my conclusion. Each country is different. The Big Mac index, okay, the cost of the living in each country is different, yes, and the conclusion is to consider what is the Big Mac index to each country, yes, the productivity associated with the small farm, and really my research gave me that we need more and better public data needed. Why? Because if we don't have a specific key factors and specific elements to consider that kind of a study, the external factors are going to change all the data. The baselines has accepted the key factor that I mentioned before. The price volatility, okay, we know that in some cases and in some countries, the prices that receive directly the small farmer is different. We know that in West Africa is different than in Colombia, yes, because we have more or less between 5 and 10% of difference of the New York prices directly to the small farmer. The cost of labor, okay, associated to the baselines accepted in the minimum living lots. Public and infrastructure service are associated to this living income that the small farmer is going to receive. Education level is basic, and the institutionality that works with the small farmers. I hope that you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you very much, Fausto, and next presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan Fernando. Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. There are some elements that could help us to answer that question, but we will come back later. I would like to ask our second panelist, please, Roberto Mollison. Please share with us your presentation. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Let's talk about farm sizes. I will present a case. It's Ecuador case. So this will be the real numbers that are happening now in Ecuador. Please, next. We have different economic models in Ecuador. The difference comes because of the size, the area that the farmer have, the tech that they are using, and the yield that they have. So we have three different economic models. We have small farms, we have medium farms, and we have large farms. The area of each model, it's 2.5 hectares for small farms. This is the old orchards, as we called. We have medium farmers, that there are new farmers that are planting CCN 51, and there are large farms, they are treated as business. The old farms are using low tech. The medium farmers are using some of the technology, and large farms are using high tech. And you can see the difference that they are having in between. Small farms, these old orchards, have 0.25 metric tons per hectare. Medium farms have 1 metric ton, and large farms have 2 metric tons and over, or more. Please, next. This is a medium farm. It has 8 hectares. They are using medium tech. Please, next one. Please, the next. Here are some characteristics of the farms. Sorry, no, be before, please. Please, okay, there. So what are the characteristics of these small old farms? It's a subsistence agriculture. Cocoa is mixed with other crops and some animal husbandry. Size are between 2 and 3 hectares, low hectares. Ecuador has 15% of their total production in this model, and they are, again, farms that have probably 50 years. No or low tech, so they have a low yield, and they have low ability also to negotiate prices. Medium farms are family owned, also as agricultural subsistence, but they have a higher size. They are in between 6 and 10 hectares average, but they also could reach as high as 50 hectares. Now in Ecuador, 80% of total production comes from this medium farmers model. They use mid-tech, they have genetics. Genetics means that they use new clones as CCN51. Some of them, more than some of them, probably 2/3 are using irrigation systems. They build the irrigations by their own. They are now experts pruning. They use some inputs, and they have an average productivity of 1 metric ton, but some of them could reach 2 metric tons. They deliver the production to an exporter close to the area, and they have a 90% of the New York Board of Trade price. It's price than the very much higher price than the small old farms, and they are close to the real price. And then we have the large farms. They're treated as a business operation or owners. They hire managers. They are 100 or over hectares. Some of them have as high as 500, and it represents only 5% of total production. They use high tech. They use CCN51 genetics clones. Now we have other new clones that can produce more. All of them have irrigation systems, with very high technology. Some of them automatized, all of them. They have equipments. They have tractors. They have pruners. They have sprayers. They also have soils management advices, disease advices, and a very good post-harvesting. And yield is 2 metric tons or also over that. They negotiate the production with the chocolate companies that have presence in Ecuador, and the price is very close to the New York Board of Trade. Please, next. So here is a comparison of these farms. Area, we told 2.58 hectares medium. Large are big ones. The yield, and we have the volume that each farm can produce per year. Very low volume of the small farmers. A good volume for medium, and large are huge volumes that they can produce. And one of the variables that we begin to consider here is how able it's the farmer to have the real market price. So in the small farmers, they can only reach 70% of the price. Medium farmers can reach 90%, and large farmers can reach the market price. So this is a first consideration, which is the capacity of the farmer to really reach the market price. And then I will also consider the investment that you have to do for these farms. I can't see now the bottom, but there's a value also of the land if you want to make the investments. That for farmers, the concept is that medium farmers can buy his lot and plant cacao. That's what is happening really now in Ecuador. But large farms need a very high investments. Please, the next one. So here we have the numbers. You see that the income from small farmers is low. There's also no cost there because they don't pay, they don't have cost. Even their cost, it's only what they spend probably the weekends harvesting. So they have a very slow income that it's around $1,000. I'm going to use as a comparison the minimum wage in Ecuador and what will be the income of an employee that have the minimum wage. So it's a minimum wage, it's far away from the margin of these old, small, and agriculture subsistence farms. In fact, if you see the difference, it's subsistence agriculture. If you go to medium, you begin to have a higher income because of the area, because of the yield, and also because of the capacity that the farmer have to reach a higher price. So then you have at 18,000 income, low cost because they work in the farm. And if you compare that to the minimum wage, they are over the minimum wage and they really have more than 2 times this minimum wage. If you go to large farms, again, investments are high, incomes are very high. This is treated as a business, and you begin to measure the internal rate of return of a business. Please, the next one. This is a aerial view of a large farm. As you see, high mechanized. You don't see differences between the color of the foliage because it has a very good nutrition. The channels are, the rows that you see are really channels for drainage, and it has also irrigation system. Please, next. So these are some points for the discussion probably, or some points that I think that they're happening now. There for a good development of a plantation for a cocoa farm, the area, the yield, and the price are the income drivers. It's not only the area. In fact, we see that even if you have two hectares, it's really a small farm, and it's hard to make economic scales. You at least need over 8 hectares. In small and medium farms, moreover in medium farms, farmers pay their work. And in also difference is that in small and medium farms, farmers doesn't pay social security taxes, and large farms does. So here's a benefit for the medium farms, and again, that's why they have grown now and become the 80% of the Ecuador production. Ecuador has increased the production in the last 20 years 7 times, from 50,000 metric tons to this year we will finish in 350,000 metric tons. And a discussion also, a comment is how to encourage cultivation. So we're talking about the size farms here, but again, the drivers for the farm successful are more only than the size. So here we have to think about how can governments must assure market prices. Ecuador has the higher percentage of the prices that farmers receive over the New York Board of Trade. This is farmers are receiving a real price close to the market price, not too much low from it. That's why we have developed a lot now. Research centers must provide genetics and new techs. Here in Ecuador, the Research Investigators Center are developing constantly very good new genetics for the development. That's the work from the research centers, that also it's work from the governments that are public research centers. And farmers must work on productivity. Large farms have been developing here in Ecuador the tech operations, and the technology is moving to the medium farmers. Farmers are price takers. They cannot do too much. They have to work in productivity. And chocolate companies must work to disintermediate and get closer to the farmer so the farmer can have a better price and not too much intermediation in the chain. So that's it, Fausto. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Roberto, for your presentation. It's really shocking to see the data that you have shared, because even with good years, smallholder farmers with that farm size, it's difficult to achieve living income or even to achieve a living wage. But we will have that discussion later. Thank you very much. I would like to welcome to Simon Basanaga. And Simon, the floor is yours. Please go ahead. You are in mute, Simon.
Are you getting me?
Yeah, we hear you very well.
Okay. Je vais vous présenter la Société coopérative des entrepreneurs de cacao d'Inchi au Cameroun, la SOCOPEC. Ma présentation va porter sur 6 éléments. Déjà, je vais présenter la structure. Qu'est-ce que la SOCOPEC? Deuxièmement, je vais présenter l'organisation et la traçabilité de la production. Et troisièmement, la professionnalisation des membres. Quatrièmement, qu'est-ce que la coopérative fait pour protéger l'environnement et préserver la biodiversité? Vous savez qu'aujourd'hui, c'est d'actualité. Cinquièmement, comment est-ce que nous améliorons les rendements et les revenus du producteur? Et enfin, nos partenariats et les perspectives. Next. Next. OK, thank you. Alors, la présentation de la structure. La SOCOPEC, c'est la Société coopérative des entrepreneurs du cacao d'Umbamekim. Elle a été créée en 2015 nous avons 220 producteurs, une superficie totale du verger de 1389 hectares, dont 973 en production et 416 en cours de réhabilitation. Pourquoi je dis en cours de réhabilitation? Parce que depuis 2 ans, la coopérative ne fait plus des extensions. Donc les extensions sont interdites. Et nous avons fait un petit travail dans l'évaluation des champs pour voir à peu près si les densités étaient respectées. Et nous nous sommes rendus compte qu'il y avait beaucoup de gaps. Donc beaucoup déclaraient 1 hectare, mais en réalité avaient environ 600 à 800 plants. Donc aujourd'hui, la coopérative a pris comme résolution d'abord de redensifier toutes les plantations pour que nous obtenons les densités normales qui sont au Cameroun de 1111 pieds quand vous faites écartement de 3. En fait, les rendements sont de 900 kilos à l'hectare. Et le prix au kilo depuis 2019 est de 1640. Je vais vous expliquer plus loin pourquoi. Et pourquoi nous avons des rendements de 900 kilos? Parce que nous sommes partis pratiquement de 400 kilos à l'hectare à 900. Et je vais vous expliquer dans les slides prochains pourquoi. Maintenant, la coopérative emploie 10 personnels de façon permanente et 133 temporaires. Les temporaires, c'est en fonction des périodes, des pics ou des baisses de produits. Next. OK. Thank you. L'organisation de la traçabilité et de la production. La coopérative a 12 secteurs coopératifs ayant à leur tête un comité local de gestion. Les services techniques fonctionnent à travers des brigades de prestations agricoles. Qu'est-ce que nous attendons par brigade? Nous avons beaucoup de jeunes qui ont été recrutés dans la coopérative et qui ont été spécialisés dans des activités bien précises que vous allez voir tout à l'heure, telles que la brigade de taille, dont des jeunes qui ne sont spécialisés qu'à la taille du cacaoyer et à la gestion de l'ombrage. Et en plus de ça, c'est la même équipe qui fait les traitements phytosanitaires dans toutes les plantations des membres de la coopérative pour avoir les mêmes produits utilisés, les mêmes périodes de traitement, les mêmes quantités utilisées. La prochaine brigade, c'est la brigade des récoltes. Dans la coopérative, toutes les récoltes sont faites par une brigade qui fait toutes les récoltes au même moment du mûrissement des cabousses. Donc, toutes les cabousses de la coopérative sont récoltées pratiquement au même degré de mûrissement. La troisième équipe, c'est l'équipe de caboussage. Et ici, l'innovation que nous avons apportée, on s'est rendu compte que c'est les femmes qui faisaient très bien le caboussage. Et nous avons formé pratiquement 128 femmes. C'est elles qui font le caboussage dans tous les villages de la coopérative. Et il y a une équipe après elle qui transporte pour amener le cacao frais au niveau du centre de traitement. La prochaine brigade, c'est la brigade de fermentation et de séchage. Tout le cacao qui arrive à la coopérative est fermenté par une équipe spécialement dédiée à ça, qui fermente, sèche, fermente et sèche. Et la dernière brigade, c'est la brigade de triage, de calibrage et de stockage. C'est aussi une brigade qui est faite en majorité des femmes, parce que nous nous sommes rendus compte qu'elles sont très méticuleuses, elles trient bien, et ce n'est qu'elles qui font ce travail. Alors, toutes ces prestations que je viens d'énumérer sont prises en charge par des équipes spécialisées, formées par la coopérative et payées par la coopérative. Donc, c'est la coopérative qui paye tous ces techniciens et au profit du planteur. Next. OK. Maintenant, la professionnalisation des membres. Le suivi des plantations des membres par la coopérative nous permet d'avoir une bonne traçabilité et une bonne mise en place qui favorise justement la professionnalisation des membres. À travers quoi? Je prends un exemple simple. Le membre qui ne fait plus de tâches dans sa plantation trouve un moment dans la diversification et peut mettre ce temps à profit pour faire un peu du maïs, un peu de la banane plantain, un peu d'autres cultures comme l'arachide et autres. Et un autre avantage, c'est que nous avons pu maîtriser la déforestation à travers les pratiques d'agrandissement des superficies. Puisque maintenant la coopérative, contrôle toutes les superficies de ses membres, donc il est difficile à un membre d'augmenter la superficie, puisque nous avons les statistiques de surface et de production. Donc là, la coopérative a maîtrisé. Alors, nous avons aussi pu éradiquer le travail des enfants. Pourquoi? Parce que déjà, il existe moins au Cameroun, mais là, il faut complètement le mettre de côté à travers le personnel de la coopérative qui est recruté par la coopérative, dont le membre n'a plus un contact direct avec les employés. C'est la coopérative qui met à sa disposition les employés. Et enfin, le paiement des planteurs. Nous avons pu, à travers ce système, mettre tous les planteurs dans un système de paiement par la banque, par une microfinance, puisque à l'enlèvement du produit, nous connaissons la quantité de produits enlevés par planteur chez chaque planteur, et dès que le centre d'excellence nous donne l'information, on fait juste le virement dans chaque compte des planteurs. Donc tous aujourd'hui ne touchent plus l'argent en main, mais touchent via un compte bancaire. Et c'est ce qui marque donc le passage du producteur du stage d'ouvrier qu'il était hier au stade d'entrepreneur, de chef d'entreprise agricole. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, il supervise plutôt toutes les activités dans sa plantation et ne les fait plus lui-même. Next. OK. La protection de l'environnement et la préservation de la biodiversité, c'est devenu de très grands challenges pour la coopérative. Nous nous sommes dit, au Cameroun, c'est vrai, nous avons encore beaucoup de forêts sous lesquelles nous faisons des cacaoyers parce que chez nous, nous faisons une cacaoculture dans l'agroforesterie. Donc, c'est le couvert végétal, c'est les arbres. Mais on s'est dit, il vaut mieux anticiper dans la prévention. Et vous voyez le centre d'excellence post-récolte qui a une capacité annuelle de 500 tonnes et qui est le plus grand des 6 centres actuellement que compte le Cameroun, produit un cacao vert. Nous insistons sur le mot vert. Vert, pourquoi? Parce que c'est un cacao écologiquement durable, parce que les extensions, comme j'ai dit plus haut, les extensions, les agrandissements de surface sont totalement interdites depuis 2018. Et le respect d'au moins 40 arbres dans chaque hectare par les planteurs est devenu systématique. Parce que la coopérative a des audits internes avec les brigades qui contrôlent à chaque moment que nous restons dans cette logique. Deuxièmement, c'est un cacao socialement responsable, comme je le disais. Pourquoi? Parce que avec le système mis en place par la coopérative, où nous avons des employés payés par la coopérative, formés par la coopérative, nous ne pouvons plus avoir les cas de child labor. Ce n'est plus possible, puisque c'est la coopérative qui recrute sur la base d'un contrat et met le personnel à la disposition du membre. Enfin, c'est un cacao économiquement rentable. Pourquoi? Parce que ici, la traçabilité est de mise. Dans notre coopérative, nous sommes capables de vous montrer l'acte de naissance de la fève depuis la plantation jusqu'à chez le partenaire. Il n'y a pas de mélange. Donc, nous traitons le cacao individuellement pour chaque membre, de la plantation jusqu'au stockage et jusqu'à l'acheminement. Et c'est pour cette raison que vous voyez le prix de 1200 francs. 1200 francs, c'est pratiquement 2 € remis aux producteurs. Mais nous avons encore pratiquement 80 centimes d'euros, donc à peu près 400 francs, qui contribuent au paiement de toutes les activités menées par les brigades. Donc, quand vous voyez tout compte fait, au total, le producteur, de façon directe, touche 1200, mais de façon indirecte, touche environ 300 francs. Donc, au total, le prix du kilo revient au producteur à environ 1500 francs CFA. Next.
People go ahead, Simon.
OK. Dans l'amélioration des rendements et des revenus des producteurs. Voilà, comme j'ai dit plus haut, vous avez vu qu'avec les brigades, la qualité des services rendus aux membres de la coopérative a conduit à des résultats extrêmement merveilleux. Vous allez voir par exemple qu'il y a de cela 4-5 ans, nous avions encore entre 3 et 400 kilos à l'hectare. Mais depuis pratiquement 3 ans, nous sommes passés de 400 kilos à 800, voire 900 kilos à l'hectare. Et nous avons pu stabiliser les superficies des exploitations par un système de statistiques que nous suivons au quotidien. Donc, nous suivons les superficies de nos membres, nous suivons les rendements de nos membres, nous suivons même les récoltes de nos membres. Et ça fait que personne ne peut partir, ne peut sortir de ce système de contrôle. Troisièmement, nous avons pu stabiliser le prix aux producteurs. Pourquoi? Parce qu'aujourd'hui, le cacao d'excellence que nous produisons nous a attiré une clientèle bien spécifique que nous allons voir plus bas au niveau de nos partenaires. Et ça fait que nous, aujourd'hui, en début de campagne, la question que nous nous posons n'est plus quel sera le prix pendant la campagne. Mais la question que nous nous posons est, est-ce que nous aurons la quantité de cacao nécessaire pour satisfaire la demande? Donc, nous avons progressivement inversé la tendance en stabilisant les prix. Donner aux producteurs, nous avons donné aux producteurs une opportunité supplémentaire de développer des opportunités comment je vais dire, de création des revenus supplémentaires, puisque le producteur de moins en moins va dans le champ juste pour superviser, donc il peut mettre ce temps à contribution pour d'autres ressources, comme je disais tantôt. Next. Enfin, nos partenariats et perspectives. Nous avons actuellement un réseau de partenariats constitué des chocolatiers français qui nous ont rendu visite encore il y a 2 semaines lors de l'inauguration d'un de nos centres, dont la Confédération des chocolatiers, artisans français et confiseurs qui travaillent avec nous depuis pratiquement 2 ans et ont d'ailleurs mis en place un label chocolatier engagé qui favorise la promotion de ces cacao d'excellence et qui devient un réseau de partenaires pour la promotion de ce type de cacao. Nous avons aussi quelques agro-industries telles que Puratos, que vous voyez, le Belge, qui s'est aussi intéressé à nous et a d'ailleurs envoyé ses équipes techniques pour venir voir en place comment ça a été mis en place, tous ces processus de traçabilité et d'organisation. Donc, pour le moment, c'est les 2 grands partenaires que nous avons dans notre circuit. Et c'est l'occasion, à travers une plateforme comme celle-ci, de dire à tous nos partenaires potentiels qu'il y a encore de la place parce que nous pouvons aller jusqu'à des centaines de tonnes en plus par rapport à notre capacité de production. Donc, les gens n'hésitent pas à venir vers nous. Bientôt, nous allons mettre en place un site web qui sera ouvert et pourra montrer au quotidien toutes les activités que nous faisons. Nous profitons de l'occasion pour dire merci à la World Cocoa Foundation qui nous ouvre une fenêtre pour pouvoir montrer aux yeux du monde ce qui s'est fait déjà au Cameroun. C'est vrai encore très petitement, mais a beaucoup de potentiel de s'agrandir. Et enfin, les perspectives. Bon, en 2021, il est question dans notre coopérative de faire de tout le monde, tous les producteurs, des petits salariés agricoles susceptibles de percevoir un salaire par mois. Donc, toute la production de cacao est divisée par 10 tranches, 10 mensualités. Et chaque fin du mois, il va prendre une mensualité à la fin du mois, un peu comme les fonctionnaires. Et dès 2022, nous voulons apporter une innovation à la coopérative parce que nos partenaires chocolatiers français se sont engagés à venir former des jeunes chocolatiers dans notre coopérative et nous aurons des petites unités de transformation, pas pour vendre, mais pour consommer nous-mêmes. Parce que vous voyez, il y a une difficulté que nous avons aujourd'hui. En Afrique, nous produisons, mais nous ne consommons pas, ce qui n'est pas normal. Donc aujourd'hui, nous nous sommes dit, on va mettre en place un projet dès 2022 que nous appelons Cacao contre chocolat, où chaque producteur qui vient au centre verra une partie de sa production lui restituée comme chocolat. Et il sera obligé d'en consommer, lui et la famille. Et nous allons aussi développer cette culture de consommateurs de chocolatiers, de chocolat. Donc, sur ce, je peux vous dire grand merci et many thanks for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Simon, for your presentation. Thank you. And now we have around 30 minutes for this question and answer session. I would like to start by some clarification questions with Simon, excuse me, in order to be in the same page. Simon, what is the average size of a farm for a smallholder in Cameroon? What is the size, the average size?
The average size is about around 2.5 or 3 hectares, but you can take 2.5 hectares size of small farmers.
Okay, thank you. And the other is a question for all of 3 of you. It is saying the old question. When you are talking about yields, and the way on how to improve yields, we talk about genetics, we talk about good management, we talk also about technology. So looking the figures that you have shared, I wonder if the difference between Cameroon yields and 900 kilograms per hectare, and in Colombia 400 more or less, and in Ecuador 2,250 kilograms per hectare. Why is that difference? Is by genetics? Is by management? What is your opinion? Roberto, could you share your opinion?
Sure. Well, I think that it's all the line process of the cocoa where you begin with selecting the correct place. So if you have a dry place, we have here dry places or less humid places for cacao, you will have a less incidence of diseases. So then you will have a higher yield. Also, it's genetics. So as Juan Fernando said, cacao has a characteristic that it's not self-pollination. So if you want a plant, you have to select auto-compatible self-pollination clones. Other is the same clone. So if you have a clone, you have all the individuals in the farm exactly the same. They are the best individuals that you can find. And then in the field, you have to plant a density. We use high densities. Then we prune correct. So we measure not the trees, we measure the lineal meters of branches that are productive. Then we make a completely whole analysis of the soils and the leaves of the trees and see if the plant has all the elements that it needs, also the amount of water. And then when you harvest, you have to harvest, you have to put all the inputs to plant precisely in the correct time that the plant need and the season that the plant need also. Then you have to harvest in the correct way, and here we make a pre-dry, and then we have to ferment in the correct hours, the correct time, and then you will have a final amount of a high product and with a high quality, and you can go to the market with a higher price. So that's a very short and completely simple line process. That it's all in agriculture. You work with associates that are alive individuals, the trees. So you have to treat it exactly as a worker. It needs water. They need food. They need the health. They need all exactly at the same individuals, and you have to treat them with all they need in all the productive time of the plants or in the season of the year.
Thank you. Juan Fernando, what other elements are missing in your opinion? What other elements are needed to have a good yield?
Yeah, thank you, Fausto. Really, plus Roberto said, we consider in our company, Nacional Chocolates, that the genetic material is key. It's a baseline that it's so important to the small farmers to grow in his land, because the genetic is going to be to the small farmers quality, is going to be productivity, is going to be this line, this minimum living income that the small farmer has to do, and really the good agricultural practices. Those elements are so important to the small farmers. Must have to increase the productivity and to break the extreme poverty line that we must see in the cocoa sector. really the small farmers must work and the good agricultural practices practice in the plat. The genetic is so important. The good agricultural practices are so important, and the idea is that that kind of productivity, upper the 1,000 kilograms per hectare per year, they are going to pass the minimum of upper middle income countries. Yes, it's necessary to worry about that.
Thank you. Before going to some question of the attendees, I would like to listen Simon. Simon, you said that for technical assistance and other service, you in the cooperative you were from 400 kilograms per hectare to 900 kilograms per hectare. Is there another factor there, or is just by technical assistance or other services?
As Johan have just said, we think that the increasing of the quantity per hectare is also due to the fact that the organization of cooperative has made all the activities professionally through the technical teams. First of all, we have decided since 3 or 4 years to use only good planting material coming from cocoa seed garden, from research. That is only what we use to redensify our cocoa plantation. Now, internally, the cooperative use the same techniques with the same teams to set up, to carry on all the activities on the cocoa farmers plantation, such a way that at the end of the day, you will notice that every farmer has exactly the same technique to run the cocoa farm instead of what can I say, pruning, treatment, harvest, and so on. So everything is done exactly in the same way from one farmer to another. And the result is that when we increase in terms of quantity per hectare is to everybody at the same moment, because everything is done exactly in the same way.
Okay, thank you. Juan Fernando, there is a question from attendees, and it's also a learning question. In all the presentation, the bigger small farm size is around 4 hectares. They are asking what could be the viable farm size. If you want to achieve the living income, what would be the size? What could be the minimal size that a farm has to have?
Okay, Fausto, like I said, the baseline is basic. It's necessary to have this line. If you consider that in the case in Colombia, the minimum is $3,200 per year, yes, you must guarantee that the farm size is going to give to the small farmer minimum that minimum living wage. Yes, it's important. And for us here in Colombia, before 3 hectares, before 2 hectares, with the productivity of 1,000 kilograms per hectare, we consider that is not acceptable to have with a small farm before 2 hectares with a low productivity of 1,000. If you have 1,000 kilograms per hectare, but you can produce more than that, you are getting the minimum wage to the small farmers, yes? Because 1,000 kilograms per hectare, if you are considering small farmers with 2 hectares, we consider that a small farmer is going in the correct line, yes, to guarantee the living income.
Okay, thank you. Roberto, another question is, if a smallholder farmer has only 2.5 hectares or 3 hectares, must he or her to produce cocoa in agroforestry system or just cocoa with shade? What is your opinion? What would be better to achieve more income?
Cacao is originally from the Amazonas, where it has a lot of shade. So really cacao, and it's technically a C3 plant, so it processes the carbon, the carbon in different way, and it controls the sunshine. So really cacao doesn't need shade. So here, as you see the photos, we have cacao full sunshine, and it grows very good. And I think that the yields here in Ecuador are are higher because also for the sunshine. But that's a technical issue because Ecuador has low sunshine, and other locations as Colombia and Africa has a very high sunshine. I will say that if you maintain in the field something like 20 or 40 trees per hectare, it will be a sustainable model, and you will not need more than that trees in the farm. And the opposite is that you can have more cocoa trees and a higher yield. I would say that small farms are an old model. They are agroforestry, but that's one limitation for higher yields.
Thank you. According on one presentation, I don't remember if from you, Roberto, you said that there is a minimum of trees population. What would be that minimum? In 1 hectare, how many cocoa trees a farmer has to have?
It's more than trees. It's the productive branches. We don't measure trees here, but we use in between 1,200 to 1,800 densities. But we measure again productive branches, and we understand that you need over 22 or 25,000 linear meters of productive branches to reach over 2 metric tons. We have trials, or we have lots here in farms that have over 30,000 and produce tons. It's also, it's like a factory. It's the line process of a factory. It's not the trees. It's the linear meters.
Fausto, I want to have a comment about that. It's if you consider Rodrigo that I share with you, Rodrigo has 720 trees per hectare. Yes, 700, but the production is 2,000 kilograms per hectare per year. Yes, it's according to the agroecologist region where is located that farm, the small farm. But it's important, it's not a concrete quantity of trees, but the guarantee, the condition is to guarantee the living income, yes? And according to that, the density, it's going to give to the small farmer the living income. Yes, and it's important. Yeah, why I showed this Rodrigo experience, because below the 3x3 in triangle design of the plantation of 1,100 trees per hectare, he has 700, yes, and he's getting 2,000 kilograms per hectare per year. Okay.
Okay, thank you. One of my last questions is to Simon. Simon, in your opinion, what is the cost of 1 kilogram of cocoa in your cooperative? What is the cost of 1 kilogram of cocoa, dry cocoa in your cooperative? In dollars, maybe. I think you are mute. Okay.
Yeah, please repeat your question, please. You say what is?
Yeah, the cost of 1 kilogram of dry cocoa in your cooperative. I'm trying to compare your cost with Latin American cost. We understand that in West Africa the costs are lower, so that's the reason why I am asking how much or what is the cost of 1 kilogram of dry cocoa in your cooperative.
Yes, I don't know if I've understood very well what you are asking, but now we are selling a kilogram of cocoa at around €2.5 per kilo. €2.5 per kilo. That is what. But I would like to say something before ending my answer. The first thing is that this amount of cocoa per kilo is not for the whole country. It's only in my cooperative and some else that are doing the same work. It's not the average for the whole country. So in Cameroon now we are around 3.5 or 400 kilo per hectare. That is the right amount now per hectare in Cameroon. But we, with the organization that we have in the cooperative, it's why we can jump from 400 to 8 or to 900 per hectare. Now, the price is not the same. Now in Cameroon, for instance, at this level of the campaign, we are around 900 per hectare, per kilo, 900 per kilo, when we are in 1,600 per kilo for in the same country, just because our management, our organization, and all the traceability that we are running in the cooperative gives us the opportunity to have more good and very important customers.
Thank you. I would like to invite you, unfortunately the time is constraining. I would like to invite for 1 minute for you, for every of you, to share your takeaway message regarding this situation about the far side. Trying to answer the question of how to support smallholder farmers that don't have more land than 3 hectares. How to support them? Starting with Roberto. What is your final message in that direction, Roberto?
I think that well, in Ecuador, we work with a completely free market, so the market is going to make the rules. What is happening now is that the farmers that used to have the old 2.5 hectare models are selling the farms, and other farmers that have 3, 4, 5, 6 are buying. So the average size is increasing. The market is working over there, and good producers are buying these non-profitable farms, subsistence farms, and they are turning them over to a new model. We have here a lot of farmers that used to have 1 or 2 lots, and now they have 3 or 4, and they are growing in the size area of the farms. And again, also, it's because they do the things good. They have a good product at the finished product, the cacao beans, and they are able to sell it to a better price also, that it's around the market price. I think one of the biggest problems also, it's not only the size, it's that the farmers in other places don't receive the market price. It's not, the farmer has to be related to the reality of the market. It's the market price. Sometimes there are taxes, sometimes they cannot export, and I think that the market has to work over there.
Thank you, Roberto. Juan Fernando, what would be your final message?
Oh, my final message thank you, Fausto. My final message to all of you is that, like you saw in my presentation, if one small farmer tried to get $3,000 per year, in the case of Rodrigo, that is our experience, it's more or less 3.7 hectares. Yes, the area is going to increase, but it's so important. One thing, the price that the small farming is going to receive. Why? Because in the case of Colombia, USAID 2 years ago has a study that found that in Colombia, the price directly to the small farmer is the higher in the world. Yes, because the difference between the New York level is more or less between 5% less, between 5 and 10% less than New York prices in the field. Yeah, it's so important to the small farmer receive. You saw that Rodrigo received $1,000 to $900 per ton. Yeah, it's the average of the last year. It's so important that to share the prices of the international markets directly to the small farmers. I know that the conditions, different conditions work to have sustainability and to have the minimum living income to the small farmers. Is my opinion. Thank you, Fausto.
Thank you, Juan Fernando. And Simon, what would be your message to a smallholder farmer with a small farm? Simon? Okay, so due to the time constraint, I would like to make some kind of conclusion on our discussion today, our rich discussion today. It's not, of course, there is no final conclusion, but at least some elements for thought. In the issue of farm science, there is no a silver bullet on this. It's not all about farm science. It's also about yields. It's also about technology. It's also about investment. And so, if we want to improve yield in this small farm, we need to combine all these elements. The other is about the market, and also the price, as Juan Fernando just said. And we need a kind of market more closer to small farmers and more willing to share the value of the chain in order that allows to get a better price for the production. The other element is about some barriers or some structural elements that are in the cocoa value chain that are beyond the scope of companies, beyond the scope of buyers, beyond the scope of farmers. And they're structural as access to land, for instance, as infrastructure, as logistics, and in this case, it's necessary the role of the government to secure all these elements for a more competitive value chain, more inclusive value chain. The other one is about the scale. There is a need to go from example shared today, from successful example as the case on Colombia, for instance, to go to a scale, how another thousand of small farmers can be benefited for this experience. How can they get access to technology and knowledge to improve the yield in their small farm? And the last one could be that if we are thinking in a small farm that only has 3 hectares, we can think only about cocoa. We need to diversify. Not only because the climate change, it's also because the other crops are sources of income to improve the economy in the household. So I believe that with that element for thought, we can try to think in our home, in our companies, in how to help better smallholder farmers. Thank you all of you for your interesting presentation. Thank you to World Cocoa Foundation for this opportunity, and let's continue with that. Thank you.
Thank you for all of you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Piers.
Bye-bye.